Have you ever noticed that there's a side of a man you only see when he lets himself completely relax with you? When the strong, confident version of him fades, and what's left is just the real him, the man underneath the armor. It's in those moments of deep intimacy, when he lets you get close enough to touch not just his body, but his guard, that something powerful happens. Because here's the truth no one talks about for a man: being that vulnerable isn't about lust, it's about trust. See, men are taught their whole lives to stay in control, to lead, to perform. But when he lets you close enough to experience him in his most unguarded, sensitive human state, that's not just passion, that's surrender. That's him saying, without words, I feel safe with you. And that changes everything. Because in those moments, it's not about what you're doing, it's about what he's feeling. It's about the emotion behind the act, the connection that lives in silence. That's what makes a man's heart open, not the physical moment itself, but the emotional meaning behind it. When a man allows himself to be seen like that, he's showing you a level of trust most people never earn. He's letting you witness a version of him that the rest of the world never gets to see. And when you understand what that moment really represents for him, you start to see intimacy not as an act, but as a language that says, I don't just want you, I choose to be seen by you. So today, I want to decode that language, because when a man lets you in that deeply, it's not just about desire, it's about his heart trying to connect with yours in the only way he knows how. And once you learn to read that, you'll never mistake physical closeness for emotional distance again. You know, it's funny, women are often told that men don't trust easily. But what we rarely talk about is how men actually express trust when they finally feel it. A man might not say, I trust you. He might not even realize that's what he's doing. But when he lets you in, when he allows you to see him in a moment where he's vulnerable, exposed, and completely unguarded, that's his way of saying, I feel safe with you. And that's not a small thing, because think about the kind of pressure men carry every single day. The world expects him to be composed, confident, and in control, to never show weakness, to never lose his cool, to always be the man. So when a man lets that go, when he allows himself to not be in control for once, it's a quiet act of courage. It's not about the physical moment itself, it's about what it represents. It's about emotional surrender. And if you've ever wondered what makes a man fall deeply for a woman, it's this. It's not the perfection of how she looks or what she does, it's how she makes him feel. If he feels emotionally safe with you, he'll start showing sides of himself that no one else ever sees. When a man lets you that close, it's like he's silently saying, you're the one person I can stop performing for. And that's the deepest kind of intimacy there is. Because here's the truth, men crave safety just like women do, they just express it differently. For a woman, emotional safety often comes from consistency. The way he communicates, the way he shows up. For a man, it's often felt in the way you respond to his vulnerability. When he opens up, even in small ways, your reaction teaches him whether it's safe to open up again. If he senses judgment, teasing, or even indifference, he'll retreat. Not because he's weak, but because he's learned that vulnerability isn't always rewarded. But if you meet that moment with softness, with warmth, curiosity, or even a quiet kind of respect, he'll feel something he doesn't often feel: freedom. Freedom to be himself. Freedom to not have to hold it all together. That's the kind of woman men fall for. Not the one who impresses them, but the one who makes them breathe easier. And here's the beauty of it. Once a man feels that with you, the connection deepens effortlessly. He starts opening up more outside the bedroom. He starts sharing thoughts, fears, emotions, not because you asked, because he wants to, because suddenly being with you feels like home. That's why so many relationships that only physical fade quickly, because they never cross that invisible line from body to trust. But the moment you create safety, intimacy transforms from something he enjoys to something he cherishes. So when he lets you in like that, don't underestimate it. It's not just a moment of pleasure, it's a message. A man might never say, I trust you with all of me, but when he allows himself to be that unguarded, that open, he's already said it in his own language. And when you respond with presence, not pressure, not expectation, just understanding, You show him something even rarer, that being strong doesn't mean never letting go. That true masculinity can exist with vulnerability, not against it. And that's where the real magic of connection begins, because when trust enters the room, love follows quietly behind it. Let's talk about something most women never get told. When a man is in a moment of deep intimacy, he's not always trying to dominate or lead. Sometimes that moment is his way of letting go. You see, men spend most of their lives being in control. They're taught to take charge, to have the answers, to stay steady no matter what. He's supposed to be the rock, the protector, the decision maker. And there's power in that, yes. But there's also pressure, and that pressure builds over time. Because even the strongest men, the ones who seem calm, confident, unshakable, have moments where they just want to stop holding everything together. They want to exhale, to feel instead of think, to let someone else lead the moment, even if it's just for a second. And that's where surrender comes in. When a man is truly connected to a woman, he doesn't see intimacy as performance. He sees it as release, not just physical release, but emotional release. It's his chance to stop being the man the world expects him to be and just be. So many women misread that moment. They think he's just being physical, but what's actually happening is far deeper. He's allowing himself to lose control. And for most men, that's terrifying and beautiful all at once. It's terrifying because control is their comfort zone, but it's beautiful because surrender means trust, and trust means connection. That's why when a man feels deeply connected to you, something shifts in his energy. He's not trying to impress anymore. He's not performing. He's not trying to prove anything, not his strength, not his skill, not his masculinity. He's trying to feel something real. That's what women miss sometimes. Men don't crave domination in intimacy the way movies make it seem. What they crave is relief. Relief from the constant pressure of being in charge. Relief from the weight of expectations. Relief from the idea that love has to look a certain way. And if you can create an energy that tells him, you don't have to control this moment, you can just be in it, that's when something powerful happens. That's when a man starts to fall, not just into passion, but into peace, because surrender to him isn't weakness. It's the rarest kind of freedom. It's saying, I can let go because I trust that I'm safe here. And that's a trust he doesn't give easily. When he feels that with you, when he can drop his guard and stop managing every moment, he connects with you in a way that bypasses logic. It's heart level. It's the kind of connection he can't find anywhere else. And here's the truth: the woman who gives a man the space to surrender emotionally becomes unforgettable, because she doesn't just touch his body, she touches his balance. She gives him something he doesn't get from the world: rest. Not the kind of rest that comes from sleep, the kind that comes from being understood. And that's why after that kind of intimacy, he doesn't just feel satisfied, he feels seen, he feels softened, and he starts associating you with the one thing every man secretly craves but rarely admits: peace. So the next time you sense that shift, when he's not leading, when he's just present, don't see it as a loss of control. See it for what it is: an act of trust. A man choosing, even for a moment, to surrender to the connection you've built. Because that's when intimacy stops being a game and starts becoming something real. And that kind of surrender, it doesn't make a man weaker, it makes him yours. There's something every man secretly longs for, but few will ever say it out loud. He doesn't just want to be loved, he wants to be desired. And there's a big difference between the two, because love can feel calm, nurturing, predictable, but desire is electric. It tells him, you don't just care about me, you want me. Most men, even the confident ones, carry quiet insecurities. They worry about being enough, strong enough, successful enough, attractive enough. The world constantly tells them to perform, to prove, to achieve. So when a woman looks at him with that unmistakable spark of attraction, when her eyes say, I choose you, it hits him at a level deeper than words. It validates something ancient inside him. It tells him that beyond what he provides, beyond what he does, he is wanted. And here's the secret for men. Feeling desired isn't just about physical passion. It's emotional, it's spiritual. It's the quiet reassurance that he matters not for his achievements, but for his presence. That's why intimacy, when it's real, feels so healing to a man. Because for once, he doesn't have to prove his worth. He just gets to feel it. In those moments when you respond to him not out of obligation, but out of genuine attraction, he experiences something he rarely feels anywhere else. acceptance without condition. That's powerful, because desire for a man is affirmation. It's proof that he's seen not as a paycheck, not as a protector, but as a man. And when he feels that from you, his whole energy shifts. He becomes more attentive, more affectionate, more emotionally available, because now he's not chasing validation, he's resting in it. You see, so many relationships lose their spark not because love disappears, but because desire fades. And desire fades when people stop seeing each other, when routine replaces curiosity, when comfort replaces energy. But when you, as a woman, stay connected to your own sense of passion, when you let him feel that he still excites you, still intrigues you, it reignites something primal inside him. He starts to feel alive again. He starts to associate you with that feeling of aliveness. And that's what keeps attraction thriving even years into a relationship. Now, here's something most people never realize, that when a man lets himself be intimate with you, especially when he's emotionally connected, he's actually revealing how desired he feels in your presence. If he feels admired, wanted, and respected, he opens up effortlessly. But if he feels tolerated or judged, he closes off without even realizing it. So when you respond to him with warmth, when you show appreciation, not just for what he gives, but for who he is, it tells him, you don't have to try, you're already enough. And that message hits deeper than any compliment. It changes how he sees himself and how he sees you. Because now, being with you doesn't just make him feel attracted, it makes him feel chosen. And every man wants to feel chosen. That's what makes him protective of the connection, loyal to it, devoted to it. Because the woman who makes him feel desired isn't just another chapter in his story. She becomes his favorite one. So remember this when you express genuine desire through your tone, your energy, your attention. You're doing more than igniting chemistry. You're speaking directly to the part of him that wants to know he matters, that he's enough, that he's still the man you want, not just the man you have. And when he feels that, he doesn't just stay, he starts giving you the version of himself no one else ever gets to see. There's a truth about men that most people overlook. A man's emotional connection always finds its way into his physical connection. The two are never fully separate. You can tell a lot about how connected a man feels by the energy he brings into your moments together. When his heart is engaged, his touch changes, his attention changes. He's not just doing, he's feeling. It stops being an act of desire and starts being an expression of care. Because for men who are emotionally invested, intimacy becomes a mirror. Every movement, every pause, every glance is reflecting something deeper, his feelings for you. See, when a man truly loves a woman, the energy between them shifts from excitement to meaning. He's not chasing sensation anymore. He's cherishing the connection. He wants to make you feel safe, understood, and chosen. In those moments, he isn't trying to take, he's trying to share. That's why when a man's heart is attached, his focus widens. He starts reading your reactions, listening to your breath, tuning into your comfort. He's not just in the moment with his body, he's in it with his attention. And that's what emotional connection looks like in its purest form. But the opposite is also true. When there's emotional distance, you can feel it instantly. Everything feels rushed, distracted, mechanical. It's not that he doesn't care at all, it's that his heart isn't present. And when his heart isn't in it, intimacy becomes just movement without meaning. That's why the emotional foundation between you matters so much more than technique or passion. Because if the foundation is strong, if he feels close to you, understood by you, and appreciated by you, then even the smallest gesture becomes charged with depth. But if the emotional connection weakens, even grand gestures start to feel empty. So what does this mean for you? It means your ability to keep that emotional thread alive is the real secret to lasting attraction. And that thread is woven through the little things: how you listen to him, how you encourage him when he doubts himself, how you respond when he opens up. When he feels emotionally safe with you, he naturally brings that safety back into your intimate life. He starts to associate closeness with comfort, not pressure. He feels that he can be imperfect and still be adored. And that feeling doesn't just make him affectionate, it makes him devoted. Here's something to remember: men often use physical closeness to measure emotional closeness. He might not say, "I need to feel connected," but he'll reach for you when he wants reassurance. He'll draw near when words fail him. That's his heart speaking in a different language. So if you notice he's distant physically, don't just ask, "What's wrong in bed?" Ask, "What's going on in our connection?" Because when his heart feels unseen, his body often follows. And when you rebuild that emotional bond through kindness, appreciation, and empathy, you'll see the spark return naturally, because his physical desire was never just about attraction, it was about belonging. When a man feels emotionally connected, he stops guarding himself. He lets you see his softness, his playfulness, his laughter. And those are the things that make intimacy magical. It becomes a language of reassurance, of partnership, of mutual trust. So the next time you're together, notice not just the act itself, but the energy behind it. If there's tenderness, curiosity, and care, that's love talking through touch. That's his heart showing itself without words. And when you respond with the same energy, with presence, gratitude, and warmth, you create a feedback loop of love. His connection feeds yours and yours deepens his. That's when two people stop meeting just with bodies and start meeting with souls. Every man carries an invisible question into intimacy. Can I be safe here? He might never say it, but he feels it every single time he lets his guard down. Because for men, safety isn't just about being free from danger. It's about being free from judgment. Think about it. The world tells him he has to be confident, unshakable, always in control. But underneath that armor is a human being who still worries. Will she still respect me if I show softness? Will she think less of me if I hesitate, if I'm unsure, if I need reassurance? So when he steps into intimacy, he's not just connecting with you, he's testing the space. He's asking silently, is this a place where I can drop the performance and still be accepted? That's what emotional safety really means for a man. It's not just the absence of criticism, it's the presence of compassion. It's knowing he won't be laughed at for being nervous, dismissed for being quiet, or compared to someone else. When a man feels that kind of safety, something amazing happens. His heart opens. He becomes more expressive, more affectionate, more honest, because safety is the doorway to authenticity. But when he doesn't feel safe, he retreats. He might go silent. He might distract himself, not because he's indifferent, but because he's afraid that being himself might cost him your respect. And here's the thing, respect and safety go hand in hand for men. When he feels respected, he feels safe to be real. When he feels safe, he trusts enough to love fully. That's why your response matters so much more than you realize. If you meet his vulnerable side with understanding, with patience instead of pressure, he'll see you as different from everyone else. Because most people demand perfection. Few people make space for honesty. It's in the smallest reactions that safety is built. When he admits he's stressed and you listen instead of fixing. When he hesitates and you encourage instead of criticize. When you notice he's quiet and you say, you don't have to talk, I'm just here. Those are the moments that teach him, this is a woman I can trust. And that trust reshapes everything. It changes how he communicates, how he touches you, how he shows up. Because a man who feels emotionally safe stops holding back. He doesn't need to hide behind humor or dominance. He can finally meet you as an equal. Here's what's powerful. Once he feels that, he'll start protecting that connection fiercely. He'll become more loyal, more attentive, more grounded. Because emotional safety isn't just comfort to a man, it's home, it's where his heart rests. It's the difference between love that burns fast and love that lasts. And it's built not through grand gestures, but through presence. The way you look at him when he's uncertain, the way you speak to him when he's struggling, the way you remind him without words that he's enough. So when he lets you close in those vulnerable moments, see it for what it really is, a test of trust. He's handing you something fragile and asking, will you handle this part of me with care? If your answer through your tone, your patience, your softness is yes, then you've given him something rarer than passion. You've given him peace, and peace is what keeps a man coming back. Because passion can fade, excitement can fluctuate, but the feeling of safety, that's what roots love deep enough to weather anything. So remember when he lets his guard down, when he reaches for you not out of confidence, but out of vulnerability. That's not weakness. That's the bravest thing he can do. And when you honor that bravery with warmth instead of judgment, you don't just win his body, you earn his trust forever. So when you think about everything we've talked about, the way he craves emotional connection, the moments that make him feel seen, the power of safety and trust, remember this, it's never about how perfect you are. It's about how present you are. Men don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with peace, with that quiet confidence that says, you can be yourself here, and I'm not going anywhere, because at the end of the day, attraction might spark the flame, but emotional safety keeps it burning. It's what turns chemistry into connection and intimacy into bonding. So if you're watching this and realizing that love isn't just about what you say or do, it's about how you make him feel, then this is your moment to step into that power. If this message spoke to you, don't just click away. Take a second to subscribe, because this channel is all about understanding men on a deeper, more emotional level. And trust me, once you learn how to create that kind of connection, you'll never have to chase love again. Love will chase you. So keep showing up with grace, with empathy, and with strength, because the right man won't just notice it, he'll cherish it.